3 children. He grew up in Kansas City and attended Francis Willard Grade School and Paseo High School. He worked from a very young age. First for his father's pool hall and fun house at Fairyland Park, as well as at his dad's federal buffet as a teenager. In high school, he worked as a fry cook at Roy and Ray's on the plaza. I recently learned this, but he had dreams of going to college to become an engineer, but other responsibilities forced the change of those plans. He taught me of devotion to St. Joseph, and his devotion began at a very young age. He told me a story that when he was 13 or 14, his mother took him and his sister to visit their grandmother. His cousin Tony lived upstairs, and they were the same age. While the women were downstairs visiting, Tony and Grandpa were upstairs playing. Tony told Grandpa he had a secret. He knew where he kept his dad's gun. Tony got his dad's revolver, and as they were playing, Tony pointed the gun at Grandpa directly in his chest. Grandpa could see the barrel down the barrel of the gun and could see the cylinder start to turn. And as the gun went off, someone pushed him aside, saving his life. There was no one else in the room. Grandpa knew it was St. Joseph who pushed him to safety, because it was that day, March 19th, St. Joseph's feast day. And my grandpa began his devotion at that very day. Grandpa attended 1 year of college but had to stop because of World War II. At the age of 19, he began service as an Air Force gunner on a B-17 stationed outside of London. He flew bombing missions over Germany, targeting critical oil fields and bridges. Grandpa said the St. Joseph prayer before every takeoff. And on more than one occasion, their plane returned so shocked and damaged, no one could understand how they returned to safety. It wasn't long thereafter that the entire crew, any and all religion, began saying the St. Joseph prayer before takeoff. Gunners were open to the elements and in high altitude, so they required an oxygen mask to breathe. On one specific occasion, Grandpa took his handkerchief to wipe the ice off his mask. He dropped the handkerchief and bent down to pick it up. At that precise moment, a bullet went straight through the plane opening where his head would have been. He later told us on his deathbed that too happened on St. Joseph's Day. Due to the highly dangerous nature of the missions, the average number of missions for a B-17 crew was only 7. By the grace of God and St. Joseph, Grandpa flew 35 missions. He was retired from flight after having earned the Air Medal with 5 oak leaf clusters. After the war, he and his brother Anthony owned 3 bigger jigger bars in the Red Lion Inn. He didn't so much care for the profession, but he did what he had to do in order to provide for his family. In 1949, he married the love of his life, Augustine Rinella, whose devotion to her was unmatched. He told me when they were going to buy a house that all their friends were buying the $16,000 model. But because they were going to have a big family, Grandma and Grandpa splurged for the $19,000 model. It was in this $19,000 house on Van Brunt and Scarrett that they together raised 6 children: Joe, Anthony, Angela, Mary, Mike, and Rosella. Us grandchildren number 18 strong, with over 20 great-grandchildren, by the way of this big, beautiful family. Grandma and Grandpa were the first to show up at any event, any party, any first communion, any baby's birth, any baptism, always together. Whether you knew them or not, seeing Grandma and Grandpa together always made you smile, seeing them hold hands and always be kind to each other. Their daily routines were legendary, all the way to the end. Each day typically began early, followed by a Grandpa mid-morning nap. Then the big lunch outing of the day, something along the lines of casino on Monday, Anthony's on Tuesday, Cascone's on Wednesday, and his favorite, a Popeye's chicken sandwich at Andrew's Cumbie's store. These were always, of course, followed by an afternoon nap, dinner, and most likely a 60 minutes recording. Grandma says that Grandpa never spoke a harsh word to her in 72 years. May we all learn that example. One of the last words he was able to speak while alive was to Grandma. He says, "We made a good pair, didn't we? I'd marry you all over again." And as a last way of showing the ultimate respect to Grandma, not by accident, he died on the anniversary of the day of the death of her brother, Anthony Rodella. Grandpa was a hero, an incredible man. He taught all of us about the importance of faith, prayer, and family. He was a living example in patience and humility. May we all learn from his life example and remember how lucky we all are to have had known him. May he rest in peace.